from Three Rooms Press, the Prose Poetry Party #10. And we have many of our gifted and talented authors with us tonight who will be reading, and we'll have some books to give away. If anybody's watching, we'll the first comment, we'll send you a book. You send us your address. We will mail you a free book from Three Rooms Press on this during this lovely holiday season that we are living through. 2022, almost 2023. What a time, huh? What a time. Here we are on a live stream. Prose Poetry Party was probably 7 years live in either Cornelia Street Cafe, which closed in, what was it, 2018, I think, into 2019. And then we went to Le Poussin Rouge 2019. So maybe we're only there for 1 year, and have been on live stream for the last, this is our 3rd year in a row. And fortunately for us, we were able to take advantage of bringing a lot of different authors from around the country to join us, which we couldn't do here live on stage in New York. It was a lot of fun here, but it's also fun to have so many great authors with us from different places. They're in Virginia, they're in Tennessee, they're in LA, they're in, all over, Washington, DC.
Berkeley.
Berkeley, right, Berkeley. Hey. Santa Monica and Venice, where they're neighbors, neighboring cities in California. What a great time.
Yeah, so this year is really special because this is the year that we produced and released our 100th full-length book. So
we've got Aquarian Dawn and Ebele Chizea is here with us.
100th full-length book. It just came out in October, and we'll be hearing from Ebele Chizea later. Yay!
Ebele Chizea, she's here with us.
And we're so excited to be here and to have everybody with us. So let's just do a quick view of everybody all at once so you can see what a fantastic show lineup we have. Wow, all right.
And there's Christopher Chambers even made it, and Jessamyn, and Nicca. Everybody's joined us.
And we'll have Robert Gibbons soon.
Where's Robert Gibbons? He even called me.
He's coming.
Okay.
All right, so I'm going to go back to our pinning, and you'll see the folks in the little tiny boxes. Okay, so we're going to start this evening's event with a piece by my fellow co-director from Three Rivers Press, Peter Carlaftes.
Ooh, that's who we are, Peter Carlaftes and Cat Georges. So we're here. I'm going to read this one. I wrote it not too long ago. It makes a lot of sense for us. Mommy, I want a musket. Mommy, I want a musket. It's my constitutional right. When do I get a musket? Silence. Repeat demand. Silence. Mommy, when are you gonna? Why aren't you telling me when I'll get my musket? Because I've been dead for well over 200 years, as is your thinking. But Mommy, was it not the intention of our forefathers to arm all men to protect our way of life? What is so hard to understand that the journey toward peace and realizing the worth of our democracy cannot be reached at the point of a gun? But what about foreign or domestic enemies? What about another 9/11? Weapons of mass destruction? Get a grip. You're almost 250 years old, for Christ's sake, grow up. Mommy, I want a musket. Okay, Mommy relents here. Not this one, I need one with a bigger magazine.
Yay, Peter. Saying a sign for the time.
They're cutting out democracy. Well, the kid is right, huh?
All right.
Needs a bigger magazine. That's all of us need.
Wow. So I'm happy to introduce our next reader. She is the author of a number of novels and nonfiction books, has also been to Antarctica more than once. And we released her book, No Stopping Us Now, by Lucy Jane Bledsoe. It has just been shortlisted for a Golden Poppy Award. That's for all of the booksellers in California who, from every bookstore in California, have decided that hers is one of the books they want to see more. So please welcome Lucy Jane Bledsoe. Hi,
hello,
Lucy.
Hey, hello, everyone. I'm so happy to be here. I've been at home sick for like 2 weeks. So this is especially exciting for me to be at a party, a real party that I can be at.
Prose poetry.
All right.
Yeah, and I'm very, very happy to celebrate Three Rooms Press, 10 years, 100 books, Kat and Peter, and all the amazing, amazing, amazing things you've done for the literary communities. So thank you so much, and happy holidays, everyone. I'm gonna, excuse me, read a little bit from No Stopping Us Now. I chose a 5-minute section that I don't think I've read publicly before. I just thought, what the heck, I'm gonna entertain myself, read something a little different. So this is based on my own true story. When I was 17, bringing the state of Oregon into compliance with Title IX. I was a kid who desperately wanted to play basketball. And in my city, Portland, Oregon, there were no teams for girls at all. So I was playing in a city league. I organized some girls to play in a city league before we got the state in compliance with Title IX. This is a scene from my main character and some girls after a city league game, which, you know, usually they're kind of, you know, they had to get, the character named Virginia is one of their sisters who they had to get to drive them because there's no uniforms, no transportation. Everybody's just kind of on their own back in the day. This is 1974. So the other girls on the other team were really obnoxious. They won, they were kind of racist. They were really bullying, and everyone's in the parking lot. The other team is just taken off. And the teenage girl who's driven my characters to the game, one of the sisters says, every one of them is a dyke. They were so butch. Yeah, I say, and then wish so badly I hadn't. Diane looks at Val, who scowls and walks to the other side of the car as if she needs an entire automobile between the two of them. Barb lifts the spare tire and fits it onto the axle. Oh, they have a flat tire. Go get the wrench, she says angrily. By the time I get back, she's already placed all the lug nuts on the bolts. So she starts to tighten the first one. I say, let me do that. She looks at me for a long time as if making some kind of decision and then hands me the tool. I crank each bolt clockwise, glad to be doing something physical and helpful. When I finish, Barb huffs quietly before taking the lug wrench from me. Wimp, she says, and gets each of the nuts to turn another full rotation. She pops to her feet, holds up her arm and flexes her muscle. Strong, I say, wishing I had more of every kind of strength. Barb bats my shoulder and says daily push-ups. We throw our gym bags in the trunk and start climbing in the car. Diane gets in the front seat with her sisters. Barb, Helen, and I slide into the back seat. Val starts to get in the front next to Diane, but then changes her mind and scoots out again. Take the front, she says to Helen. Don't you want to sit next to Diane, I blurt, trying to make up for my previous yeah about the dyke comment. Hell no, Val says with a strange ferocity. Why would we want to sit next to each other, Diane adds less convincingly. Her sister's word, dyke, echoes in the cold, dark air. I scoot toward the center of the back seat so Val can get in next to me. Helen climbs in front. When we're finally on our way, hurtling down the highway, me squeezed in the backseat between Val and Barb, I point out that if we had a school team with real adults and a bus, then none of this would have happened. None of what? Barb asks, as if the bad referees, game loss, obnoxious girls, and flat tire hadn't happened. Virginia coughs derisively and says, life isn't fair, just get used to it. I don't believe that, I say. Everyone ignores my outburst. We're all cold and hungry and have homework to do. Still, I can't resist persisting. Life can be fair sometimes. My voice cracks and now all my teammates laugh as if I'd said a joke. But then Helen starts talking about Shirley Chisholm, who ran for president just 2 years ago, both the first woman and the first Black candidate for that office. Virginia interrupts to say that's never going to happen, though it's not clear what exactly she thinks will never happen. Helen ignores the comment, talks right over it, saying that Chisholm inspired her to get a law degree. I stay quiet, wanting to hear more, but Val and Barb start trading boasts about their prowess on the court, one-upping each other in a funny competition of who can state her skills with the most hyperbole, made all the funnier because Barb shouts hers and Val mumbles hers. By the time we reach the high school, we're all laughing like usual, but I feel so frustrated. It isn't fair, and no one else seems to care. Thanks.
Yay, Lucy. Okay, I gotta get faster on this.
We got to
There
pay
we
more
go.
attention.
Thank you, Lucy.
Thanks, Lucy.
Thanks, Lucy.
So good to see you.
And really good
Glad
luck.
you're feeling better.
Yeah, so
Thank
glad.
you. Nice to see you too. Happy New Year.
You can hang on, sit
Yeah.
around with us.
Are we going to be doing our giveaways?
We could give away a book.
Right. Okay, so I'm going to put Lucy onto remove pen. And what we've done for the past couple of years is do a book giveaway. So Peter, I'll let you do that.
If anyone wants to comment on Lucy Jane, no stopping us now. Anything, the next comment will win this book. This copy in my hand right here, I will put in an envelope and mail to you if you give us your mailing address. So, but first you have to comment down there
on Facebook.
On Facebook or Facebook.
On Facebook.
Oh yeah, on Facebook, because you can't comment on Zoom. We would only be giving it away to our own readers. So
which is okay. But the next person who comments on Facebook,
the very next person,
it can be a reader, it can be anybody.
Anybody on
the
Facebook
next person comments
wins No Stopping Us Now. And I will ask you after you are the winner later on for your mailing address. Right. Okay, we're moving on.
Okay.
I think we got Christopher Chambers is here with us in the house now. On Zoom. So let's.
Wow. How are you?
All right, Christopher Chambers. So good to see you.
And are you in DC right now, or you're up here?
No, I'm in DC. I'm down here in Beirut on the Potomac as usual.
Okay, where's Max?
Max is behind that door back there trying to knock it down. So I'm trying to make it.
You're standalone. And Christopher Chambers is the author, along with being a Georgetown professor and a conflict resolution person and a what else was it? A Princeton graduate. How's that? All of the above. So,
all right.
There's a flag over there.
There you go.
Is that there's Princeton? I won $1 from my buddies the other night when they beat whoever it was. $1. It was good.
All right. So I'm gonna go ahead and put you on big and take it away, Chris.
Okay. This is from my latest standalone, and it's got some poetry in it of some sort. Because I was trying to find some context, but it's got some poetry in it. Meanwhile, the white boy Jake releases my sore head, and he's dying to ask me something as the dick moves farther away for privacy. He's more animated in the conversation. I don't care why you were here fucking around, but you open your mouth again, I'm gonna put my Glock in it. You understand? Message received, I say. I didn't see shit. He keeps playing the role, though. You think I'm scared of you? We just don't need anybody jawboning to reporters, especially a bum like you. Otherwise, you just jungle batshit crazy. You're just an asshole, all right? You understand? I understand. The dick's on the phone in a more serious powwow, so I retort to the officer. Do I look like I slide down the banister of life's crystal stair all day? I comply. Oh, that sounds poetic, the officer snorts, ignoring the exchange. So you smart, huh? Well, this would be about when the beatdown comes, they leave me in a Wendy's parking lot. But look, I still don't know if this is the new touchy-feely police department under our new lady chief of police, or normal 12, where they just would leave me beaten up in a Wendy's parking lot. So yeah, Crystal Stair. It's from a poem, man. Langston Hughes. You ever heard of him? Cop shakes his head. Oh, okay. But I have heard of poems. I mean, what's let's see. See if this rings a bell then. He's staring at me derisively and says, how about this? There once was a smart nigger from Nantucket. Suddenly, I'm looking at him really, really sternly. No, that's a limerick, I add, trying to clock his face. How about a haiku? Here's mine. Peckerwood Cop waits for old days to return. His boss is an Uncle Tom. He's lucky. You black bastard, the white Jake hisses through his gritted teeth. I'm gonna bust you in the face. I look at him and I smile and say, anything you can do to me has already been done to me, man. And seriously. So that's a poetry reference. Noir detective wise. Thank you.
Take it off on. Okay, so
We're coming.
I was just gonna
Where
say,
did Chris go?
where's Chris? Here he is.
I'm right here.
So tell us just a little bit about. I did it wrong again. Okay, tell us a little bit about Dickie Cornish, who is the private investigator that is featured in both of your books.
Well, he was a home a scavenger. He was a homeless addict. He lived on a steam grate on top of those one of the Smithsonian museums. We find him here cleaned up and investigating some children, some missing children. He's actually been arrested by cops in the parking lot of basically a flophouse motel, where he was brought to by the people in the flophouse motel to find their kids. But of course, the cops have arrested him and have hauled them all off. And this is his interchange with a racist police officer who basically has him in custody and is holding him illegally while they find out really what's going on. So it's basically he's in the underbelly of the underbelly. He's in a part of Washington that not only do you not see beneath the monuments, but even beneath what the regular streets. I mean, these are homeless people living in flophouse hotels, people with children that are probably about to be plucked by child and family services, etc. So that's his medium, if you will, is that underbelly, and that's what that's where he does his work. Those are the people he protects.
Wow. All right. Well, these are both great books, and congratulations on getting them out and being named one of Crime Read's best books of fall. So
that's right.
All right. Okay.
Thank you,
Christopher Chambers. All right.
Now we're going to move on to our next reader, which is who is the author of book number 100. Three Rooms Press. Ebele Chizea, bring her up. We're going to say hello and hear some.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi. You guys hear me? Nice to see you.
Yeah. Ebele Chizea, great to
nice
see
to see everyone. So I also had a cold, so my voice is a little scratchy, so bear with me.
Your voice might be scratchy, but your writing is not.
Oh, thank you.
Well, tell us a little bit about the story on Aquarian Dawn, and I'll just.
So basically, Aquarian Dawn is a coming of age story set in the 60s and 70s about a young girl who relocates to the US with her mother from a fictional West African country, and basically comes of age in the counterculture movements of the 60s and blossoms and becomes an activist in the process. So. Hello?
Take it away.
Okay. All right. So this is chapter 10, and the character, the protagonist, Ada, this is her first day going to college, her first day in college. So, and she's obviously from Nabucco, the fictional African country.
Recording in progress.
And she's on her way to school, to college. Chapter 10, August 1967. I had decided on a women's college because a part of me wanted to please Ma. Even though I had rebelled by not applying to one of the Ivy League schools Ma had suggested, I still, on a subliminal level, craved her approval. To select Bryn Mawr, her alma mater, would have been a sound declaration of solidarity that I didn't think she deserved. But smart was the perfect middle ground, appeasing both of us. It was also a prestigious college located in the same state as Harvard. When the train reached its final stop, several hours after I bid farewell to Ma in Greensburg, the sun had just retreated to its origins. A lazy cool breeze whispered among the trees, the sky a clear deep blue. And Mrs. Butler came to pick me up along with a few other students, mainly international students, who had boarded the same train. This pickup arrangement had been made a week before I departed from Greensburg. I could only make out little details of Mrs. Butler's facial features under the evening lights. but I noticed her blonde bob hairstyle and her rather colorful dress that danced around her flabby cream legs. She introduced herself as the primary advisor of the International Students' Council. We drove in a Jeep, about 8 of us. "Welcome to Smart College," she said in a British accent, breaking the silence. I glanced at the other students. They were all white, most spoke French. They said nothing to me, so I said nothing to them. "Thank you, Mrs. Butler, for picking me up," I said from the back of the Jeep. "You're welcome, my dear," she replied cheerfully. "You must be from Africa." The chatter stopped as the girls listened in on the conversation. "Yes," I replied, and held my breath, hoping that I would be swift enough to counter whatever racially driven comment might follow. "I want to visit Africa sometime. I hear they have the best cuisine, and I love African fabrics. So colorful, so alive." Relieved, I smiled. The other girls continued with their idle banter. I looked out the window. The road was wide and clear.
Yay,
All right.
Ebele.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so thank you so much.
All right,
Oh,
beautiful.
Yeah.
100 Ebele Chizea. How about that?
Yay.
I'm so honored. Thank you, guys.
Maybe we
Yes.
should give away a book.
Okay.
Next comment on Facebook. If you're out there, watch it as live
If you're on
make a
Facebook watching
comment.
us live,
and
make a
you will
comment
win the copy.
about Aquarian Dawn and you'll win the copy. Oh, look, it's Dee Champagne.
Yay!
Okay. Dee Champagne wins a copy of
Aquarian Dawn. I'll get her.
Okay.
I'll get her address. We have her address. So, yay! Ebele, so good seeing you. Stay on, and we'll see you a little later, and we'll get to see everybody else too.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. I'll go ahead and take you off. Remove this page.
And we're going to move on. Robert Gibbons hasn't joined us yet. He may, so we'll be waiting for him, and we'll put him on next whenever he does appear, if he does. So that means next in line is Meghan Grupposo. So we're going to bring up Meghan, and it will be your turn, Meghan. So be ready.
Meghan,
you're about to hit the spotlight here.
Meghan.
I'm ready.
Meghan has been with us at a lot of poetry readings and also appears in
Our
several
mentorship
issues
series. So
of our.
this is our latest version.
Mhm.
That's
number 16.
16.
All right, so take it away, Meghan.
All right. Thank you both so much. I love this. I love that you do this every year, whether it's in person or, in the Zoomery. So I have two poems for you. Blossom in my hand. Presence as delight. A decisive choice. Something deep. Wind, the undercurve smile arc. Light, involve a quiet mind. Choose quiet. Drop topics. Release one at a time. Pick up where you left off. Remember to remember. Walk into the room with your internal, eternal lit. The universe always brings together something. I give you my heart like it has always been yours. I place it in your palm. Watch it blossom in your hand. About the birds. They followed me. I'd asked for a drive filled with migratory birds, and the universe delivered tenfold. I sang the same old songs with a heavy Eddie Cantor twist, how to stave off the boredom of an unaltering skyline. A red-tailed hawk swoop eye level on the highway, then another and another, a classic V of geese, the murmuration near destination. Next morning, a sudden dream, more than a dream, a synchronicity, a reinforcing. Here is where I mention the beak-pecked trees. Guided by these everyday spells, drawn on my heart by the world, my body moves through space in quiet incantation. I dreamt your skin disappeared. You glowed gold. It was an answer to a question. I woke to the bare-branched bush, bird's nest within, backlit by the sun out the window. You'd said something about seeds. I looked at my hands, forgot about everything but my pulse, filled with this unlabelable, everyday magic. I wondered if I'd asked for something besides the birds, if it would have still been, or was it, is it, those hollow bones, enchanting feathers, morning songs sung to a rising sun. We are never bored. I remember the answer. I close my eyes and rub myself against everything until it shines. Thank you.
Beautiful, amazing, wonderful. There's so many great lines. Every line has just gotten like such
Meghan
hearts.
Grupposo.
It's a beautiful work. Thank you so much for being here and for your contributions to our journal and for being such a supporter. We really appreciate it. All right, so I'm gonna read a poem.
Cat George.
Okay.
Oh, get out of the way here. Cat George's.
I didn't do that for him.
He got me out of the way. She left, she stayed in.
Okay, this is called Chew on This. I asked my brother's Polish wife about the biggest difference between her home country and the US. No hesitation, orange juice. She came to Boston mid-'80s from a life of empty store shelves and long lines. In the US, every grocery store has dozens of cans of at least 12 brands of frozen orange juice, plus cartons, jars, and jugs of fresh. Once a judge in her hometown stopped a trial when she heard that pantyhose had become available at a local department store. So much choice here, and store shelves are always full. Cereal, 35 kinds in multi-size boxes, toilet paper, 10 kinds in a single roll, 4-pack, 8-pack, 12-pack, and beer, a whole aisle or more, refrigerated with close to 100 different kinds. It's amazing. Empty store shelves are more common now around the world, but here in the US, empty store shelves lead to rage. We want our 12 brands of orange juice. We want our own personal brand of toilet paper. We want. We want freedom, man. Give us our full grocery store, or next time we bring the guns. Thank you. All right.
Cat George's.
That was Cat George. Yeah, that's me. So I am happy to bring up our next reader. Why, that would be Karen Hildebrand. And you guys may or may not know this, but Karen was actually one of the first books we published as a chapbook here in New York for Three Rivers Press, One Foot Out the Door. You'll notice the copy, notice the high heel on fire, and what's behind her, same thing. So Peter's going to go let
Jane
a special guest in
here live.
Okay,
she said I want to come up, so hopefully.
And I'm going to let Karen take it away. Karen has also appeared in Minton and numerous times. So here she is, Karen Hildebrand.
Hello, hello. I'm so happy to be here. Thank you, Kat and Peter. You know, you read my mind because I brought this specially as show and tell tonight. because, you know, it's like way back, Three Rooms Press. And the way this book came about is that Kat was asking me about my poetry. And, you know, she said, what are you working on? What are you doing? And I said, you know, I have this group of poems that I've been writing forever, and I can't seem to finish them. I just keep revising and I can't move on to anything new. And she said, well, you know, the solution to that is just put it in a book. Let's do a book. And then, you know, they'll be finished and you can move on. So that's the story of this book, and it's true. So I have a couple of poems for you tonight. This is called The Dig, Puberty. Deep in my mother's dresser drawer, I find a jewelry box brimming with colored beads like the floaters that bob between swim lanes at the pool, and rope my arms and throat with turquoise lime popsicle pink. I help myself to a vast brassiere, cups like Bedouin tents in the Sahara. Squint at the mirror, shabby girdle garters like dog teats, flapping my thighs. Balled up socks for boobs. Maidenly cotton briefs, rust in the crotch, as if tattooed with a ghost of fertility. Thirsty leaf cutting in a jar, waving its pale feeder roots. Baby goat swallowing even the plastic bucket. This is a Dior exhibit at the museum. A whoosh of skirts only in my head, so still these mannequins perch. Stiletto heels, satin taffeta, chiffon pinched at the waist, iced with lace. They look like wedding cakes. Oh, if the hump of my spine were a bell, plump as these gowns, a jellyfish bloom. Aged women bent over walkers. Let me float, says the lily pad. I can't feel my feet. Bluebell bows her head, my soul to keep. And I'll finish with this one. Visiting my 91-year-old mom at the rehab center. We face off, heavyweight to flyweight. Mom's chair, leather, mine mesh. She punches her tea mug down, sending the cart into a spin. I'm sparring with the best. 100 degrees, arid Colorado heat. Mom approaches the ring in a droopy sweater, ankles blown twice normal. Just then, a glittery girl dances in with a dinner tray. Ding, ding, round one. Chunks of beige on a slice of beige, pumpkin pie panting in the corner. Plastic iced tea drenched in sweat, I dab with a tissue. Ding, ding. I realize this is a reprise of our great match 51 years ago today. Me in labor, her full body clench. I risk a little trash talk. Remember? But why give her an edge?
Hi, can you hear me? You had no sound there, Kat, but I saw my book, so I know I'm up.
Nobody's hearing us.
All right.
Yeah,
So
now you're back. Now you're back.
No wonder
now you're gone.
this is Matthew Hupert's book, Ism is a Retrovirus, published by Three Rooms Press. And now I've turned off the sound, turn on the sound so you can hear me. And now I'm going to turn off the sound to hear Matthew. Take it away, Matthew.
All right. I got 4 poems. I'm pushing right up against the 5 minutes, so I'm just going to launch through these. The first one is called Taking the Piss, Clinton Era Near Central Station. Or Détente, a true story. I was breaking up buds and rolling some joints over breakfast espresso in the lobby bar in the backpacker hotel that was home away from home, off and on in Amsterdam, back when the dollar was strong and we were living large. Some British kids were watching across the window table that overlooked Prinsengracht, my preferred spot, day or night, watching the movement of canal boats and bicycles against skinny brick buildings and Dutch clouded sky. One, early 20s, turned to me. He said, in American films, they're always talking about eggs over easy. What are eggs over easy? We don't have those at home. So I explained about flipping the sunny side and keeping it yellow runny. 2 more questions. What do you call it if you don't want them overrun? Oh, want them runny? Over hard? And why are you rolling joints like that? Mixing the weeds, no tobacco, no filter. Isn't it strong? Isn't it harsh? I guess over well, but how the fuck should I know? I like them easy and runny. And I like mixing weeds for flavor variety. And I don't come from hash culture, so habits of filters and tobacco never arose. And they're my fucking joints, and I'll fucking roll them however I fucking want. And if you don't fucking like it, you can fuck off. 1 beat of silence, maybe another. I thought all Americans were wankers, but you're all right, mate. So we had Guinness for breakfast and passed a joint, no tobacco, no filter, yes, strong, not harsh, and international relations were slightly improved. Thank you. Thank you. All right, this next one is called Microhabitat. Turn it over. Earwigs and pillbugs and millipede scurry, 8-legged spiders and ants of all sizes, from the sudden light, the cold blast of wind. Do you feel your power yet? Do you feel life and death at your command? Maybe you're the crown of creation, the crown chakra of the biosphere, the mind of the universe watching itself, watch itself, will in action, will incarnate, or maybe your rock just hasn't been turned over yet. Thank you. All right, 2 more. This one is called Magical Thinking on a Metaphorical Coney Island. Watch the waves, in-rolls and out-rolls, in-rolls and out-rolls, in-rolls and out-rolls. Watch the tide, the waterline waltz along the shore, sizing the beach in nested arcs, silver-driven, moon dappled. Watch the boardwalk encrusted in sun-kiln salt, hard against your back, heavy with sighs and if-onlys, smelling of Nathan's hot dogs, coconut and brine, a hint of childhood barely remembered and all the choices you've made, because here against the boardwalk pillar, salt scratched and shaded, you want a moment to say, here is where I said a wrong word, ignored a clear sign, zigged instead of zagged, and then pick up some driftwood to scratch in the sand, a blueprint, a castle, a magical tower with a Coney Island ending. But those Coney Islands are bullshit. If only's a liar. The high tide breaker against the beach is the only high tide breaker against the beach. A wave never unrolls, only in-rolls and out-rolls, in-rolls and out-rolls, moonlit and silver-edged, high tide comes running in, rolling in. All right, one last one. This is called Rengetsu. Rengetsu was a famous Japanese potter, and she was a monk back in the 15th century, I think. And this is actually from a Ruth Ozeki book. I took part of her story and turned it into a poem. So if you like the story, thank Ruth Ozeki. But it's called When Rengetsu's Teacup Dropped. Priceless pottery, ripe with shabui, simplicity, subtlety, almost uncrafted in sublimity, like life. Held lightly with almost rustic reverence for imperfection, wabi and sabi, mono no aware, anti-porcelain in form, quiet, humble, zen. Falling to the floor in a heart-stopping moment, saved by the simple nap of the rug from disaster, Master Hojo smiled, already broken. It didn't break, already broken. It is the nature of teacups to break, of all things to break. The cup, beautiful now, because it will be broken tomorrow, like life. It would break many years later, but unlike lives lost, gilded easily, kintsugi into new beauty, already broken. Feel the simple teacup in your hand, of your hand. Know it's beautiful now and already broken. Thank you. Thank you, Pete and Kat. Thank you, everybody. An honor. Thank you.
Great reading, Matthew. Thank you so much. And remember, it's ism is a retrovirus. And
I'm 3 rooms rest right behind my head.
that's right. And we'll talk to you more later.
We'll see you, Matthew.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, now we have we're going to if you hadn't noticed, we've been doing this in kind of alphabetical order by last name, but now we're going to
Last name.
backtrack a little bit and we're going to pick up a G. That was an H before. And
I'm a G. I'm a G.
What?
I'm a G, Robert Gibbons.
That's right, Robert Gibbons. You're next.
That's who we're going to pick up right now. We're going to put.
Thank you.
Okay, and Robert Gibbons, we published his book Close to the Tree, and let's do a giveaway for this book. So the first person who comments about one of the poems that Robert reads on Facebook will win a copy of this really beautiful book that that we published on 3 Rivers. All right, so take it away, Robert.
You're up, Robert. So good.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I'm a little under the weather, but I'm trying my best to project my voice. My poem is called Black and White on Silver Gelatin after Gray Valet. In this city where we're told black and white stereotypes will make you famous or novelty, I am confronted with antebellum, which includes Jim Crow and miscegenation, which includes 70 photographs from a South African. It does not matter in this picture of an exhibition are relegated to the basement in weary blue, their lives spotted across the walls like Jackson Pollock painting on his birthday. But there is a white man and a black woman wanting to be married, as segregated as Virginia is. Thought Lady Justice Washington had crossed back to Mason-Dixon, to the Old Dominion, to the place where Martha Washington beat her slaves on fear of an insurrection, where Prophet dropped his breadcrumbs and created a trail off the back of the stagecoach of George Washington, to the paradox of slave-holding presidents slept in hay beds with black women and dare not to be buried in the same cemetery. And who saved the antiques after the War of 1812? And yet the staring of the fugitive slave in black clothes follow me to this room in the Museum of Weary Blue. It steals away like Harriet did in the attic. And yes, I paid $12 to witness her story, this time when racial integrity was a shadow and an act. It was sedition and treason, and the challenge remains as interracial couples and mixed marriage mothers kiss after they look at the trailblazer, their lives in pictorial obituary. She's sitting on the porch in putrid pink curlers, loving in her window, loving on her porch, loving in splendor, loving in her mirth. And I asked, what do you do when you walk across the street and the light says, stop? Thank you so much.
Thank you, Robert. That was some
very powerful.
All right, so the first person on Facebook who comments on that poem will win a copy of this book, Close to the Tree. And okay, there we go. And
Thank you so much, Robert.
So on Facebook, we're waiting for somebody to comment, and we will go ahead and let you know who that winner is when it comes up. So thank you so much, Robert. We're so excited. We're about halfway through. And we're so excited to bring up our next reader. And we have published one of her books that was actually the Forward Indies Review book,
best YA
book of the year. And we found out when we were in June when we were away, and we were so excited. And she was Wendy.
And now we have a new one coming out in the spring. Robin and her Misfits.
All right. So
Kelly Ann Jacobson.
Take yourself off mute and away you go. There you go.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited. So I'm going to read from Robin and her Misfits, kind of towards the beginning. There's just been a heist and they've returned and their former gang leader is going to show up. So the Misfits have sort of formed their own gang and now someone from their past is coming back. Knew Frank asked, waving his cane toward the 200 feet sign. Sharp eye, Robin said, from this morning. Frank nodded at Blake, who stayed near the door as both lookout and guard. Robin felt a quick squeeze in her stomach, but forced herself to appear calm. Why don't you tell me what's troubling you, Frank, she said. She decided to get up and pour the lemonade after all, something to do with her hand, so she retrieved handfuls of ice from the freezer for each solo cup and filled them almost to the brim. I'm not the only one with a sharp eye, said Frank. You taught me well. She handed him the glass, so what's up? Her mind went to the knife sheathed and loosely sewn into the throw pillow behind her, the pistol secured under her kitchen table. She sat back down in her recliner. Her fingers tapped at her cup. She tried not to stare too long at Blake. Frank took a big gulp of lemonade. There's a bounty on your head. Robin laughed. There's always a bounty on my head. Not like this. Frank didn't smile. $500,000 for information that leads to your capture. Robin suddenly felt like she couldn't swallow. $500,000? That's ridiculous. That's what I thought too. Frank put his lemonade down on the end table next to his recliner. Then I did a little digging. Turns out my little Robin bird has some secrets she's kept from Uncle Frank and from her little Misfits too. Or should I call you, don't. Robin tried to take a deep breath. If Blake came for her, she would need to be quick. Her gaze went to her holster. He was quick, but she was quicker, assuming she could get a gun in her hands in enough time to fire. How many times had they shot bottles down in the yard behind Uncle Frank's warehouse? Give me one good reason not to do it, Uncle Frank said. He was pleading with her, which meant there was still hope. One reason? She had to stall, give herself time to think. She didn't have $1 million. She didn't even have $500,000 between all her buried safes. I can give you several, but the best one? Think, Robin, what does Uncle Frank want more than anything? I'll do that job you wanted. Uncle Frank tilted his head slightly, which meant he was thinking something over. Tempting offer, he mused. More than tempting, that job alone would bring in over $2 million easy. And besides, she moved her voice into its most appealing tones. You couldn't really turn me in, could you, your little Robin? Uncle Frank shook his head, but at least he was smiling. You are good, I'll give you that. Then he nodded, I guess not. Bring me what you promised, and I'll make sure that no one else finds out about this little haven of yours. Do we have ourselves a deal? Robin put her hand out, and Uncle Frank took it between his two dry palms and squeezed. Then he stood up with the help of the armchair and turned to go. Oh, and Robin, Uncle Frank asked. Yes. For some reason, Robin's gaze went to Uncle Frank's cane. As if in slow motion, she registered the twist of his wrist, the almost inaudible click, the tensing of his right arm. No one can ever know we were here, understood? Robin tried to take another deep breath, but her lungs felt squeezed by her ribs. She fought down her panic. This was not just about her. If she was captured, what would happen to the Merry Misfits? Understood, she managed to say. With agility unmatched by his appearance, Uncle Frank swung the cane up onto his left forearm and pushed. The blade at the end went into Blake's chest, piercing through his heart like a skewer through a piece of raw meat. Robin held back a scream. Blake sunk to the floor of the trailer, shaking the whole room. I'll contact you soon, Uncle Frank called behind his shoulder. A second later, he was gone. Robin sunk to her knees. She crawled over to Blake, who gazed somewhere over her right shoulder as blood pooled underneath him. Oh my God, she said, as she removed her shirt and pressed it to his chest. Blake, can you hear me, Blake? Robin, he whispered. This was Blake, her brother, her friend. I'm sorry. What are you sorry for? She said through tears. Then she realized that Uncle Frank had probably been right. Blake would have sold his own mother out for $1 million if she wasn't already dead. It's okay, Blake, it's okay. He closed his eyes and then he shut down a little more with every breath. Finally, even his chest didn't move. No, no, no. Robin fumbled for the cell phone in her pocket, tried to dial Little John's number, and ended up resting the phone on the ground because her hands were shaking so badly. Little John, she asked when her best friend answered. Yes, Little John said with attitude, but then she must have realized something was wrong because her voice changed. What happened? Are you okay? Come to my trailer right now, Robin said. She went to rub her nose with her sleeve, but then realized there was blood on it. And don't tell anyone else. Thank you.
Thank you so much. That was great, Kellyanne. Thank you so much.
Robin and Misfits
and Chicken Winty. I'm so excited. These are both coming out. Next year. Also look for a Goodreads giveaway coming in January. So yay. All right. So we'll say goodbye for now, and we'll bring up our next reader. We have a poet that you may or may not heard of, but you're going to hear him now. You'll definitely hear him now. He's a wonderful poet and has been an inspiration to us for many years. Please welcome David
Author of Sharp Blue Stream, David Lawton.
Yay, David.
And he's also at our Maintenant and has been on most of these too, right? 10. Have you been on all 10, David?
No, I think I wasn't in the first 4, whatever reason you managed to elude me, but
after that, why?
Something like that.
Do we have a rift or something? You remember what it was about? Or
I don't want to get into it, Peter. Not on the Zoom, please.
Time to say goodbye to us and go, David.
No, Sharp Blue Stream.
Season's greetings to everybody on the Zoom and in the stream, Vase. And I want to say, express my gratitude to Peter and Kat for doing this event all these years and for including me in every one of them, which is really something. And with that, I'm going to go because I'd like to do 2 things for you. Root solid, root down, root solid, root down, root. Dig deep into the loamy ground. Root until the charms unwound. Tap into that juicy vein. Boil birch bark, then let the tincture drain. Root by the root of the hair, by the hair of my chin, by the chin of my teeth, by the teeth in the fin. Root, rutabaga, 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 root. Root out the bugbear. Root, bug out the ant farm. Root, farm out the brand stamp. Root, stomp out the Proud Boys. A rutabaga, 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 rutabaga. Root, solid down. Root, solid down. A root. Sphere. Carolina wagon wheel, ruts road by haunted auction block, spent trail of locomotive steam of where we've been no more. Boll weevil drills a cotton flower, chaw juice congealed in brass spittoon, field hollers circle Rocky Mount through barefoot bluesman sound. Manhattan brownstone, rolling the bones, neighborhood kids play ring-a-levio, barrel house keys turn rag player roll, hopscotch girls do the chalk line stroll. Sister's teacher runs through scales, in room next door monk's fingers trail, round San Juan Hill the cats keep stride, cross gramophone the needle glides. Church organ renders gospel meet, palms upward face toward heaven's seat, hands laid upon flush demons out, ecstatic spirit animates ring shout, roundabout, cutting sesh, Bop beret, swivel chair, cigarette, cascades, skull cap, blast cap, beads of sweat, caracool, thread unspools, a spinner in a mill, concentration, contemplation, an iridescent bloom, foot pedals, flower petals, straw coolie hat, in walked bud, thick as blood, lost cabaret card, talk back, blackjack, ain't that a bitch? Too ugly, deepening sinkhole, sucking drain. Then just walk away, the music still turning in a groove, a mosaic star to spin on. Now I'm done.
David Lawton.
Sharp on the street.
All right, so good to see
All
you.
right.
Thank you for being at all 10 of them, David. I'm glad there wasn't a riff. You know, my memory sometimes eludes me. So
beautiful,
sorry, I thought
beautiful rhythm there. Really loved it. All right.
All right. So next we're going to bring up. Is she out there on the stream? Jane LeCroy, author of Signature Play. Is she out there on the stream? I don't know. Where is Jane LeCroy? We got to find out where Jane LeCroy is.
Where is Jane LeCroy? Where could she be? Oh no.
Use that camera.
There she is. All right.
We can bring you up a little. There you go.
Woo!
I was here all along, loving you. Your teacups, your pill bugs, your stop signs. When it says stop, what do? You go. You don't listen to the colors. You see them and you incorporate them into your being. All right, kids. It's a difficult time of year. You haven't been happy since childhood. And you probably weren't even happy then. Because happiness is this like terrible myth that we love to tell ourselves to help us sleep. Now we're awake. Oh my goodness. All right, I had to come by because I might need a beating after this. And I just needed to get it right away, not wait. This is gonna be a twist on an old classic. It's the night before Xmas. 'Twas the night before Christmas when all through the house, not a creature was stirring, not even a mouse. My stockings were hung by the chimney with care in hopes that my lover soon would be there. The tie-off points were secured all round the bed, while visions of his sugar plum danced in my sags. Mama here with a kerchief condom ready to cap, clean up any mess, prevent any mishap. From outside my door, he came ready to flatter. It sprang from his pants to inform me the matter. Away to the bedroom we flew like a flash, tore off our clothing, and you do the math. My moon and my breast beckoned him through the snow. We shared the same lust and both trembled below. When what to my wondering eye should appear but a bag full of rope and a strap for my rear. With a little old carabiner, which caught my attention, I knew in a moment it must mean suspension. More rapid than eagles, his rope skills they came. Hinbaku, Shibari, and he called knots by name. Now sheepshank, now bowline, figure 8, clove and square. On sheet bend, on overhand, on slip chain, please dare. Over the exposed beam, far enough from the wall. Now hitch away, hitch away, hitch away. Oh, Ah, as dry leaves that before the wild hurricane fly, when they meet with an obstacle mount to the sky, so up to the ceiling my body it flew, with his sack full of toys, my rigger knew what to do. And then in a twinkling, I heard on my skin the slapping and spanking of each little whim. I winced and I jerked as he turned me around. I was his chimney. It was me he came down. He dressed me in pearls and hanged every wish. His clothes were all tarnished with sweat, cum, and piss. That bundle of toys he had used up my butt, made him my dear Santa, and I was his slut. His eye, how it twinkled, his balls were so merry. My cheeks were like roses, his cock was my cherry. My sexy little mouth drawn up in a bow, and I sucked his fine candy cane till it was white as snow. The stump of my clit he held tight in his lips, and my thighs, they encircled his head like a wreath. He had a quick tongue that impressed Machiavelli. I shook when he slurped me like a bowl full of jelly. His chubby and plump was a right I had earned. I laughed when I saw him. Now it was my turn. A wink of an eye, and I was a switch. Now I was on top, and he was my bitch. He spoke not a word, but went straight to his, he spoke not a word, but let me work the debase. I tied up his balls, pulled his hair, slapped his face, and laying my finger inside of his ass and giving a nod so he came hard and fast. We slept in the sleigh bed. We're a passionate team. And we drifted to sleep, perchance we might dream of the 3-room press, books, such a glorious sight. Happy Christmas to all. And to all, good nights.
Woohoo, Jane LeCroy!
Wow. Jane LeCroy, are you happy now? Woo! Jane LeCroy, all right.
I don't know if we should be in the same room with her.
Woo! Oh my God. Wow. Well, that impressed our Facebook
Holy
audience.
moly, Jane. Please. Richard Lauren just said I'm almost hetero. I mean, wow.
All right.
What a performance. Jane LeCroy here live. The first time we had a live reader Zoom with us.
That
here
was
in the
Triple X Christmas.
Yeah, Triple X.
Okay. So who's next, Peter?
Let's see. We've got Jillian Marshall. Where's Japanthum? Hand me that book.
Here you go.
We have a copy of Japanthum, which came out in the spring of this last year. And we're bringing up Jillian, and she's going to read an excerpt. And we're very happy to see her. She's out in California now. We'll hear a little bit about that. Where's Jillian? Bring her up, Kay.
Okay. One moment, please.
Bring her up to the front.
One moment, please.
The author of Japanthum.
One moment, please. Okay, here she is. Please welcome Jillian. There she is.
Hello. As one of my fellow illustrious 3 Rooms Press authors just said, I have quite an act to follow. Everyone's readings have been great, and I'm happy to be here. And yes, I'm in Desert Hot Springs, California at a spa right now, so feeling pretty good. So,
all right.
Everyone can hear me okay?
Yes. Go take it away, Jillian.
Desert Hot Springs.
I'll jump right in. Japanthum, Countercultural Experiences, Cross-Cultural Remixes is a book about Japan through the lens of music, derived from my dissertation in ethnomusicology, which I have a PhD in, but this is decidedly non-academic. So at the same time, this is an experiment of public intellectualism, exploring the analytical possibilities of storytelling, but really just having fun with stories about going to parties in Japan and taking Buddhist dance lessons and getting bullied by the old ladies who were taking them with me. So that being said, I'm reading a short selection from a chapter here called En Underground. En being a Japanese word that means a synchronicitous connection, a nudge in some particular direction, or a path to be followed. So jumping right in here. Even though I had stumbled across exactly what I didn't even know I was looking for, a band that seemed totally now and a group of people critical of capitalism, I still made efforts to go to other shows and check out different vantage points of non-mainstream Tokyo's music. One of the flyers I'd picked up at a club was for another minimal techno show at the decidedly mainstream Club Air, famously featured in the film Lost in Translation, and decided to check it out just to see which way the wind blows around the concrete jungle. After being swept up in a group of European travelers on their way to pre-show cocktails, hey, why not? They treated. Club Air was where I caught my first glimpse of what I came to think of as the white DJ phenomenon, a recreation of uncomfortable colonialist power dynamics. Mediocre but famous white dudes from the US or Europe who headline the show and play on the main floor, while local, less famous Japanese DJs play in the smaller salons, or sometimes spelled saloons. Turned off by the expensive 2,500 yen entrance fee and the German DJ playing downstairs in the main floor that everyone was fawning over, I hung out in the salon, leaning against a wall and sipping a drink while contemplating when I should take the next train back home to the Shibui, or rustic, worn-in, or oddly charming neighborhood of Olimachi, where I lived. But then I heard the sound of breaking glass and mixed meter breakbeats. DJ Edamame, a musician born and raised in Tokyo who had recently returned from Germany, where he played with local DJs and released an EP. His sound was urban and dark, yet playful. It creatively samples abrasive sounds like breaking glass, tempered with a steady, danceable groove that make them sound effortlessly, if oddly, beautiful. After dancing until the end of his set, wishing it had lasted longer, I introduced myself. He was friendly and accommodating, and we chatted for a bit before he invited me to a small party happening that weekend at a basement recording studio in Shinjuku, which is in Tokyo, the district of all the lights. In what turned out to be my first all-night show, hanging out until the trains start running again at 4:40 a.m., I miraculously found the tiny space and was pleasantly surprised by the vibe. His show this time was different. Instead of DJing, DJ Edamame performed live on an analog digital synthesizer with an electric keyboard attached. There were maybe 4 other people in the audience, and the set was dope. Raw, loud, but melodic and danceable. Sasuga, which means just like or that's so, Edamame. We chatted after his set outside the soundproof doors, and he shared a bit about his background. Half Japanese and half European, he mentioned that he felt like an outcast growing up, which is probably why he ended up running in the underground music scene. It found him more than he found it. For DJ Edamame, who regularly performs with a banner on his DJ booth that reads, "Fuck the System," which I think Matthew Hupert would probably appreciate here at Three Rooms Press, life in Europe was a source of inspiration. He found the lifestyle so much more relaxed, with the balance between work and leisure time more favorable than in Japan, where people often work overtime 18 hours a day. Indeed, he confided that life in Japan felt somewhat stifling, and the energy required to make a living competed with his desire to make music. A little way into our conversation, he began asking me questions. How long have I lived in Japan? Do I play music or DJ? Who else have I been following so far in my underground music research? Freshly excited by my encounters with this other group whose shows I had started catching all of, Destiny Brink, and with whom I was now connected on social media despite my apprehensions about it, I asked if he'd ever heard of them. In what remains one of the most beautifully fantastic coincidences I've ever experienced, his face lit up and he said, "They're practically my best friends. I play with them all the time." So there we were, sitting in a basement in Tokyo with ringing ears, having found the same tiny scene through 2 completely different entry points in a city of 38 million people. #N. Thank you very much. And happy holidays, everybody.
Hey, thank you.
Okay, the very first comment will win a copy of this book right here by Jillian Marshall, Japanthem, Countercultural Experiences, Cross-Cultural Remixes. So,
all right. So
you had to enjoy her reading. She was incredible. You say,
absolutely.
Who could follow Jane LeCroy?
Who can follow Jillian Marshall?
Jillian Marshall can follow Jane LeCroy. So on Facebook, bring it up and we'll get your address and mail you this copy right here.
All right, great.
Please do. Now, next is, we need those 2 books there. Okay.
Here you go.
Next, we're going to bring up our dear friend and publisher of our sister press, Great Weather for Media, Jane Ormerod, who's we published. You got to bring her up, okay? The Recreational Vehicles on Fire and Welcome to the Museum of Cattle. Both her books right here. Jane Ormerod.
Take it away, Jane.
Hello.
Hey there. Hey.
I'm going to read one poem from Welcome to the Museum of Cattle.
All right.
Impact and scar to go. Rain walks, writes, bakes, reads, furs stuffed inside the fist of dictionary, dividends wilt, slingshot memories of longer distance, buy yourself a new year, a new lamb, a nervous tick, a softy buy. I'm afraid of copper and sometimes wood. Under the weather, wearing the luggage instead of carrying, after a little shut-eye, I discovered a couple of letters that never reached Italy. Does not answer, forget about a certain problem. Mrs. Softy, nothing would suit me better. I'm scared of clouds, scared of large houses with elevators. I'm afraid of my favorite year, afraid of eyeballs, wallpaper linings in drawers, smash time hullabaloo, antics and finger clicks. There are fools in this room. There are fools in the cupboard, monsters in my teeth since childhood. There has been a bitch staring me in the face since I was 8. How do you run a mile, a mock, a tap, set a wheel in motion which you then wish to set in cement? How do you take your courage these days? Is it different in Nevada? How is the blaze of glory softly sucker? I'm a child thrown backwards. I have a grief net to throw, an unsuitable pan for pancakes, a chocolate cake mix discovered from the 50s. Welcome to Larkspur, folks. Oh, welcome, welcome, welcome. I am cold. I cannot be killed by kindnesses. I wander more than I walk or write. The I that I use is never me. I am relatively distant to my closest relative. This is Larkspur, a nation wide. There are bastards, heifers, lessons, underestimators. There are grapes, some say are fun. There are bitches suddenly able to swim. As always, there is death. Translations, rentals, tigers with more shit than sympathy. I cannot stand these lights, understand the nature. These concoctions still stink, ducks still walk. That's the way history works. Ducks against a gaudy, palm silhouetted sky. Switching words between garages. This is the way now, the way forward, comically duck sure. Ever is finished as a concept. Astronauts no longer the future. The living continue to frolic, to laugh beyond recognition and disease. Are you part of this living? What part of you even exists? It's a good world outside, I hear. Good, glorious, glorious. I'm just little Jamie, just little Jamie. Jamie, a folk craft gallery with parking outside. Is there a problem? I hear a collision. Is there a collision? I hear a problem. Automatic, a particle, a bed that death can find. Thank you. Happy holidays.
Yeah.
Hey, Ormerod. And when is it your birthday coming up real soon? Saturday?
24.
Oh, it's the next week. Happy birthday, Jane.
Yay.
And a Christmas babe.
All right.
Happy Christmas, happy birthday.
Great. All right. So we have a few more readers, just 3 more readers, actually. And
you may be stuck with Cat and I short poem too.
But that's like the close, so that doesn't count as a reader. But anyway, who is next?
Next is Nicca Ray.
So go.
Are you there, Nicca? Let's see that book.
I'm here.
Oh, Nicca Ray, Ray by Ray.
Thank you,
Our daughter's take on the legend of Nicholas Ray, director of Rebel Without a Cause.
And Nicca Ray's father.
And that's right, here she is, Nicca Ray. Take it away.
Take it away. So I've been having technical difficulties. So if I vanish, I blame the aliens. So, but But I'm going to read a little snippet from Ray by Ray. It's from the chapter Bring It On Home. And then I'm going to read a little poem. So Bring It On Home. Wim Wenders said that when he thought of Nick, he pictured that one eye that was like an eagle's eye, one seeing eye that could see through everything. He could see through bullshit, especially his own. He saw himself. Some of the people I met along the way of this journey believed Nick was a man without conscience, someone who could move through people, wreak havoc on their lives, and not blink an eye. If this is true, explain to me the teardrop stain on the stationery addressed, Dear Betty, Julie, Nicca. I'm not defending his tormented, sometimes cruel character. God, I used to hate it when people would describe him as tormented. It was a way his admirers absolved him from having to take responsibility for his actions. He was, though, a man riddled with torment who lashed out at those he loved with crushing results. He had to wake up one afternoon and find himself with nothing but a masterpiece film to use as his calling card. Yes, he resorted to conning people out of money to make the next great movie. Like any good junkie, he was a scammer. I haven't known any drug addicts or alcoholics who awaken proud of their previous days' intoxicated actions. The only remedy for the guilt and shame, aside from a commitment to sobriety, is to imbibe again with more fervor than the day before, until the cycle is the quicksand that pulls you under. He removed himself from my sister in my life because he convinced himself he could bring nothing of value to the table. I spent years listening to what stories those who knew him had to share. I read and reread the transcripts of the interviews with a microscopic eye. I wanted my own concrete assessment of my father. Sometimes the truths left me debilitated for a day or two, but I never considered getting drunk or high, though I did eat too much ice cream sometimes. Hell, a girl's gotta do what a girl's gotta do. And now I'm gonna read a little poem. I'm still here, yay. I was really worried I wouldn't be here. Okay, so here's a little poem. Where are the stars? Where are the stars in the city night? Hold me closer in the bedroom light. Where's the city under the stars bright? Touch me deeper under blankets bite. Where's the magic you spoke of once? Bye. Scramble the time back to pleasure high. City nights peak on yesterday's cry. Star eyes hoping you'll beat my heart shy. Where's the sunlight hitting me deep? Deeper than night the shadows probe sleep. Wide awake eye on the pillow sheep. Counting starry nights out windows peep. I am the night, you were my star, shine. You, my city, you awoken mine. I go to bed, stare out windows, pine. Look at me, look between the sheets, lying. Find me on corners and alleyways, cat. I rise to you under the stars. I yield to you in the sunlight. I run from you into traffic. I long for you before I sleep. Where's the city we once held dear? Where is the us in the city night? Under the stars shining bright, we lost sight. Find me a star to hold on my heart. Pounding, I run, running to the start. Flailing my arms in fog and mint unseen. Your shadow walks in hollow sleep glean. My arms, your shine, the star, the night bright. Memory flocks to my bedside light. I spin pictures on my turntable sound. I cannot for the life of me found. Scramble the time back to pleasure high. Laughter, kisses hid between sheets fly. Nights without stars are songs without music. You are my star, my night, my song lyric. I cannot fathom empty streets or abandoned alleys. I cannot imagine myself a cat without scratch or pensive when you lift the sheets off my body, my back raised deep into the night, and all the stars come out to shine. You are my song, the reason for my back and forth dance, the flailing arms. In fog and mist, I follow you. In hollow sleep, you are my laughter, my joy, the kiss I hold next to my cheek. Thank you. Happy holidays, everybody. I love you all.
You survived
Thank you.
You survived the Wi-Fi.
Yay! We beat Wi-Fi. Thank you. I'm gonna not tempt fate, and we take you off to the side for now. And
we're two more readers.
We have two more readers.
The next reader is a new author to Three Rooms Press. Her book will be out in late April of 2023. Secret Rules to Being a Rock Star. Here's Jessamyn Violet.
Hello, Jessamyn.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Yes. Jessamyn, in addition to being an author, is a kick-ass drummer in the band Movie Club. And if you can, check it out, their incredible videos that they have on YouTube too. So take it away, Jessamyn.
We're going to give you the...
All right, I'm just going to start right in the middle of a chapter. It's called The Past Will Always Haunt You. The main character is she's 18, she's in LA, she's out of her league, and she's stuck with this older kind of salty producer who's in charge of giving her the LA experience. So they're at the Rainbow Room on Sunset Boulevard in Hollywood. I sighed and took a tiny bite as something caught my eye at the bar, a woman who could have been Ruby from behind. The lighting was so dim, I couldn't tell if her hair was purple or brown. Robert turned to follow my gaze. She twisted her head, and it became instantly apparent that it wasn't Ruby. So when I looked back at Robert and he had gigantic saucer eyes, I was confused. What? It's not her, I said. Yes, it is, he said, his voice almost a whisper. No, I can see her face from where I'm sitting, and it's not. He gave me such a chilly stare that I shivered. I think I'd recognize my ex-wife from 200 feet away, let alone 10, he said, his voice flat again. My eyes searched the room again, and I spotted her. Linda Crosby had arrived in the doorway past the bar, looking tan and tantalizing in a thin white dress over lace leggings and boots. Her hair was long, loose, and professionally sun-streaked, and seemed to move separately from her body like a bunch of restless grass snakes. She didn't fit in among all the salty rocker types on the patio, and a lot of them had taken immediate notice. She stood in the doorway, pondering her next move, when a striking guy with dark stubble came up from behind her and kissed her bare shoulder. She hadn't seemed to notice Robert yet. Which was good because Robert was frozen in a particularly hideous expression, like he'd stepped in dog crap or something. His despair permeated the air. Should we? He waved me silent and finished his drink in one sip. If jealousy was the emotion painted all over his face, it was a color I hoped I'd never see again. Linda and the guy made their way to the bar. She was staring straight ahead, but not really seeing anything. In her mind, she was probably miles away, sipping martinis on a balcony in Malibu. I wondered why they were here. They looked like they'd come straight from some yacht party photo shoot or something. Robert stood up abruptly, just as one of the women standing next to us drunkenly tried to pass a tequila shot off the bar to her friend and slosh some on Linda, who whipped around angry to see him standing there. I stared at her, hypnotized by her unearthly, airbrushed looks. She and Robert held each other in a steely-eyed lock. She finally broke it to check me out. I wondered why she was paying me the slightest bit of attention, let alone giving me a catty look, until I realized she thought I was his date. Robert shattered the silence. What are you doing here? She threw back her head and let out the tinny bounce of a fake laugh. What am I doing here? That's actually a good question. This place isn't my style. Greg likes it for some silly reason. Greg, presumably the stubble guy, had his back to us and was busy ordering drinks from the bartender. Dating down. I'm shocked, Robert said dryly. She flashed Robert a sharp knife smile. And I see you've gotten yourself a cute little no-name. She's young, very young. Poor thing must think you still have it. He held her in a level stare. She knows I've never been worse. Her face shifted ever so slightly. Well, guess you've had your time. Don't be so hard on yourself. That's how it goes. You rise and then you fall. Dating younger girls doesn't help you get it back. You, of all people, should know that. Linda looked like and seemed to speak like a robot, totally cliche lines, completely devoid of emotion. Her date turned around with 2 drinks in hand. "Here you go, babe," he said as he held the drink out for her. She didn't take it. He noticed Robert and me and raised an eyebrow. "What's up?" Nobody answered for a moment, letting his question hang stupidly in the air. Then Linda said, "Greg, this is my ex-husband, Robert." "Oh, heavy." Robert's eyes remained on Linda the entire time. "Well, you're still a raging bitch. That doesn't go away no matter how many brainless models you date." Greg put the drinks on the bar and stepped closer to Robert. He was pretty ripped, but Robert had a few inches on him. "Hey, do we have a problem, man?" Robert punched him faster than I've ever seen anyone get punched. A blur of fleshy movement, and then Greg was on the ground holding his nose. Blood streamed from his fingers, creating a dark, liquid bloom on the front of his shirt. The iciest smile slipped across Linda's lips. You and the teenager belong together. As people swarmed around Greg and Linda, Robert grabbed my arm and we hightailed it through the patio. Robert grabbed the keys from the rack as the valet guy rushed towards us. "Hey, you can't do that." Robert pushed him away and he fell over as we tore across the parking lot to where the car was parked. I barely had time to jump in before Robert accelerated and the car roared out of the back of the lot. We raced up Laurel Canyon so fast I had to close my eyes. Even in the California heat, I was shivering. I dug my nails into the side of the passenger seat, the surprise sucker punch on replay in my head. We climbed the canyon in silence. The city lights flickered and twinkled down below as if everything was going to be okay. That was the thing about LA that scared me the most so far. Everything looked so good from the outside, but was malicious in so many hidden ways.
Yay! Thank you, Jessamyn.
Being a rock star, Jessamyn Violet.
Yeah.
Venice Beach.
We're so excited about this book. It's coming out April 18th. And thank you, Jessamyn. That was a great reading. A lot of good tension there. And whew, all right.
We're going to finish up with our last reader. Okay. Last but not least, Julia Watts.
Okay.
Who has 2 books already on 3 Rooms Press, and we have a new one coming in the fall. So she will be our first, aside from Robert Silverberg, which are reprints, she will be the first original third book on 3 Rooms Press. So quiver, needlework, and we're working on it. Discretion is right. I'm in there, and the couple, the lavender couple, need the word discretion, but we want what the real couple need.
Peter, if you didn't
we're
know,
looking for that.
That
word.
Peter is a title whisperer.
I'm the title whisperer, but it doesn't matter. Discretion is the title right now, and it's fine. Are you going to read from that or one of these?
Yeah, I'm going to read a little from that, I think.
Good,
all right.
Good. I'm loving the book.
All right.
We got to find that need, not the need between the two.
More on that later.
Okay, yeah.
Okay.
Excellent. All right, thank you. So this hasn't been through editing. It's just on paper. I am working without a net tonight. I felt like it. I think it's fun. So just to give you a little setting of the stage, it is 1953 in a small town in Kentucky. And Samuel, who is one of the 2 main characters, is a young lesbian, closeted lesbian writer who is in a lavender marriage with her former professor. And she is at a miserable faculty party right now. So I think that sets the stage enough. And I'll go ahead and read. Samuel could never remember any of the other wives' names. She thought of them collectively as the Mrs.'s, but couldn't keep straight which male faculty members they matched up with. Was the one with pink lipstick on her rabbit teeth Dr. Jameson's wife? What about the one with the little cap of dark curls and the 3-strand pearl necklace? She went with Dr. Carter, the French professor, right? She would never get it straight. The other wives were as pretty and indistinguishable from each other as daffodils in a field. She sipped her drink, pasted what she hoped was a pleasant expression on her face, and let the little cluster of women surrounding her resume their chatter. Some of the children, especially the ones from the country, come from such unhygienic homes, Rabbity Teeth was saying. When little Arthur told me the boy who sat in front of him got sent home for head lice, you should have seen me going at his hair with a fine-tooth comb. He didn't have them, of course, but still my head itches just thinking about it. I never even heard of head lice before we moved down south, Curly Cap said, or chiggers, or ringworm. Samuel wondered if she should regale the wives with tales of all the parasites that had colonized her during her childhood. Head lice and chiggers, and once, because of an ill-fated swim in a cow pond, a couple of leeches. She was sure these ladies would say her upbringing had been unhygienic, but what child wanted to be sealed up in a spotless house all day? Samuel had always wanted to be outside in the sunshine, so close to nature that it sometimes took a bite out of her or burrowed right into her skin. I know, exclaimed a wife with a tiny hat perched atop her head like a funny bird. When we moved here, I couldn't believe the size of the mosquitoes. I told Bill we might as well have moved to darkest Africa. Well, I don't know about darkest Africa, said an older wife with a great shelf of bosom. At least here we have the sense to keep the colored children separate from the white children. Can you imagine all the lice and worms if the coloreds were allowed to go to school with our children? Unlike humans, I don't think parasites discriminate on the basis of race. These words came from a wife Samuel had never seen before. She wore thick glasses and simple clothes, a white blouse, a navy blue A-line skirt, and flat shoes. Instead of being shampooed and set into submission, her hair fell in soft natural waves over her shoulders. Actually, she continued, historically, a lot of African tribes had very advanced hygiene techniques for the prevention of head lice and parasites. It's really white people who are historically filthy. Did you know that the tradition of the June wedding actually came from the fact that many medieval Europeans took their one bath a year in June? Samuel found herself laughing for the first time at one of these awful parties. No fooling, is that part true? It is, the new woman said. Kind of takes the romance out of things, doesn't it? She took a cigarette out of her purse and put it between her lips. You'll have to do that outside, dear, Mrs. Wells said. Oh, I'm sorry, excuse me then. The new woman got up. Before Samuel fully knew what she was doing, she was on her feet too. I'll join you, she said. Once they were out in the backyard, Samuel said, Mrs. Wells is real peculiar about people smoking in the house. She has some notion it'll hurt the baby. It's 1953. I can't imagine how it could, unless you burn the baby with your cigarette, the woman said. I'm Frances Harmon, by the way. I gather you're not much for this kind of party either. I'd rather be fed to starving hogs than come to one of these things. Well, almost rather. I'm Samuel McAdoo. She held out her cigarette-free hand to shake. Frances's face lit up. Oh, you must be Dr. Boots McAdoo's wife. Henry, that's my husband, met Dr. Boots the other day, and when he came home, he was all Dr. Boots this and Dr. Boots that. He just couldn't stop talking about what a colorful character your husband is. She covered her hand with her mouth. But maybe you don't like hearing him described that way, as a colorful character? It fits him perfectly, Samuel said. I mean, Jesus, did you see the suit he has on tonight? Talk about colorful. They both laughed. I liked what you said in there, Samuel said, about hygiene and all. Well, socially, it was probably the exact wrong thing to say. Frances ground out the stub of her cigarette in a potted plant. But I've never excelled at being appropriate in groups of ladies. Me neither, Samuel said. She couldn't stop smiling. And I'm even more inept with these Southern gals, Frances said, sitting on the porch steps and slipping her feet out of her shoes. They're all so mannered. I always feel like they're speaking in some kind of code. She looked up at Samuel. Behind her glasses, her eyes were silvery blue. But you're different. There. Thank you.
All right. Yeah, Jillian Watts.
Quiver, needlework, and the working title coming, Discretion. So we're happy that we have a new book, and we're all working on that now. And in the fall, there will be a new title on Three Rooms Press.
Right.
So
Thank you so much, and happy holidays, everybody.
Happy holidays.
Okay, we're gonna close out this show with a couple of poems and some special giveaways of.
Oh no, we're going to give away now. Let's do the giveaway of our 2 spring books. These are ARCs
that have not yet been released. They're not coming out till
they're ARCs. They're advanced reader copies.
These are collector items,
and you get both of them if you comment next. I will mail you, or we will mail you, or 3 Rooms Press will mail you both of these copies. Secret Rules to Being a Rock Star. And Robin and Her Misfits.
Right.
Jessamyn Violet and Ann Jacobson, whom you both saw read tonight. And both of these books will be going out to someone.
Just tell us what your name is and how much you loved this reading tonight. That's all we need. All right.
We got a winner.
We have a winner, but he has already won a prize.
Okay, it can't be the same person. Sorry.
All right.
We need the second person. Although we appreciate your
okay, we'll get a second person. So remember, just comment on Facebook and tell us that you had a great time tonight.
Okay, and I'm going to read a poem, and you don't have to leave.
Yeah.
And then you're going to read a poem, and this time I don't have to leave either, right?
Right. That's
and then we're going to bring in Jane LeCroy.
And
we've been sitting here quietly.
We'll bring up
everybody.
Believe it. Okay, so here we go. Peter Carlaftes.
Right. So this is something I just sent in, and I'm in the Love Journal number 6, which will be coming out next month from our friend Lisa Marie in Paris. So I don't think I've read both of these together, and I'm happy. They're short. Empty Promises, Part 1. Standing on 5th Avenue outside the library near 40 Deuce, asking people passing any spare change, when this tall guy with a bagpipe wearing formal kilt wear handed me what looked like a key to some locker with the number 633. Maybe the guy just seemed tall with that fuzzy long black hat. He told me without a brogue, you go to Grand Central, bring me back the satchel from this locker, and I'll give you a $100 bill. Well, I wasn't stupid, or maybe I was. Tried handing back the key. He said, just do it, it's simple, and pulled out a crisp 100. I said, the bulls will grab me. He assured there are no bulls. I told myself, what the hell, my life was going nowhere. Then told him, wait right here. I ran down 40 Deuce and found the row of lockers inside Grand Central, stuck the key in number 633, and found the damn thing just as empty as could be. When I got back to 5th, the bagpipe guy was gone. Not much of a moral here. No more wasted time. I stuck out my hand, spare change, spare change. Part 2, hitchhiking from Florida back to New York City. One must travel through the very deep South. Speaking of which, this one time through Virginia, a guy might have picked me up in North Carolina and drove me up to Richmond. During our passage, I must have told him all the ways that I was going to change the world, as one is apt to do without tethers. Though once we got to Richmond, the guy must have had enough of this kid from the north with a mouth. So after tooling off the highway, he pulled into a filling station next to a cheap motel and told me, wait in the car while I talked to my friend over there. He placed the hose in his tank and set the nozzle to pump and walked over to that motel. He came out shortly chuckling. The hose jolted and he came over and put the hose back after paying the attendant and slid in the car, still chuckling. He tittered, boy, oh boy, my friend cracks me up. My friend over there, he runs that motel. His name is Louis Motley, but his friends call him Lou. Now, he told me if you were just a little tired, that he's got this little room next to the front desk where he could let you sleep for a while. So just walk over there and ask Lou, which I set off to do after thanking the driver. Entering the lobby with a grin, I went right up to the guy who I thought was Lou and asked him, are you Lou? The sad, paunched man said, sorry, not me. So I told him what the other guy told me. Man firmly shook his head and said, I ain't got no friends, and the only way you're sleeping here is if you rent a room. Stopped me in my tracks. Guy just made up some false-fed hope for zero gain. I made my way back. I'm back to the highway thinking, there is no lesson here. Then stuck out my thumb until I caught the next ride.
All right.
All for naught, this life.
Peter
Believe
Carlaftes.
me. All for naught.
All right. So I'm going to wrap it up with this piece called Roses. Sit for a minute, stay. Let us sing sad songs to each other about the dreams of endless golden days in peaked cottages overlooking sandstone cliffs. Dreams where we perched, you and I, sipping ice green libations, watching boys become men mastering waves, kissed by gentle, salty breezes as sun breaks the marine layer and roses begin to petal the sand, slender in their sunglasses, sneers, and neon bright bikinis. Let us brush each other's tears away as our childhoods disappear, as our days of glory wash away, as we become the faded faces no one in our dreams can see. Let us hold each other as we chant the lengthening list of loss. Let us help each other remember stories to distinguish the gone ones, to flash them to flesh for a second. We are part of those stories. We must remember so much pales in time, like shells on the beach, bleaching what was once distinct to a blur. Let us pledge, you and I, that we will not be a blur. We will vibrate with passion, grateful, electric, each breath a part of our limitless tale.
Yay, Kat.
There
we gotta
you
get
go.
Jane LeCroy in here. Slide in, Jane.
There's
bring your chair. She's gonna sit in my lap, our lap. Wow.
All right. So
this could go somewhere tonight.
Thank you, Facebook. I'm gonna turn us off of Facebook now, and I'll bring everybody back on before I do that. Okay, hang on.
Why turn off Facebook?
There we go.
Let's leave us on Facebook for a little while.
All right. Thank you so much for being here. We really appreciate everybody who participated. You can go ahead and unmute yourselves and let's just
be unmuted and join us.
Say thank you.
Yay!
Thank you.
Thank you. That was wonderful.
Happy
Thank
holidays.
you, Kat and Peter, so much for organizing this. This